Secret tapes allegedly show Jay-Z orchestrating Diddy's infamous wild parties alongside a well-known TS. Ever notice how Jay-Z always moved like he's coated in Teflon? No matter what chaos hit the industry, scandals, lawsuits, exposés, his name somehow stayed squeaky clean. From the Marcy projects to sipping champagne with presidents, the man built a spotless empire. But now, whispers are turning into thunder, and this time, it's not coming from his camp. The blogs or the tabloids, it's coming straight from inside the machine. And now, people are finally asking that one forbidden question that's been floating in the shadows. What if Jay-Z wasn't just watching the chaos from his penthouse, but actually stirring it up? Because while every headline zeroed in on Diddy, buried under lawsuits, coercion claims, trafficking whispers, secret tapes, and federal raids, Jay-Z somehow managed to stay perfectly invisible. Not a single court date, not a single public statement, just Jay-Z grinning beside Beyoncé at the Mufasa premiere like the empire wasn't shaking beneath him. But behind those diamond smiles, the picture ain't so royal. Industry whisperers claim Jay-Z wasn't just a guest at Diddy's notorious parties, he was a puppet master. They say he arranged everything: guest lists, contracts, even the cameras rolling when things got a little too wild. Yeah, cameras. Because these weren't your cute Hollywood after-parties with tipsy A-listers and overpriced champagne. Nah, these were underground chessboards where power was the prize, secrets were the trade, and silence cost more than gold. Picture this: sleek limousines sliding up under the moonlight, guests surrendering their phones at the gate. No red carpets, no paparazzi, just an elevator descending deep below, where some things were never meant to see daylight. They say those mansions had hidden levels, actual basements stacked 2 floors underground, with red lights buzzing through cold concrete halls and NDAs thicker than a Netflix pilot. Inside? Stuff so twisted even bodyguards wouldn't speak on it directly. Security contractors allegedly got trained to reroute guests the second things went sideways. Word is, there were code phrases, panic rooms, even encrypted comms for when high-value guests needed to disappear or be quietly escorted out. The kind of stuff you usually only catch in late-night conspiracy videos, until a federal raid comes along and confirms half of it. Then boom, a lawsuit drops, a federal filing straight up naming Jay-Z, accusing him of assaulting a young woman at an MTV after-party in 2000, the very same party Diddy attended. The same whispered about event that's lived in industry shadows for years. That tiny crack in Jay-Z's armor? It's now a full-on fracture, and suddenly, people are connecting dots that have been hiding in plain sight all along. Hidden in plain sight. And guess who's leading the charge? 50 Cent. You might think he's just trolling, posting memes, clowning Jay-Z on Instagram, dropping AI clips of Jay and Diddy in fake cuffs, but nah, this time 50 isn't joking. He's cooking up something way bigger, a full-blown documentary series. And word on the street? This thing's got teeth. According to people close to the project, this doc isn't just locked on Diddy. It's stacked with footage, interviews, and receipts that allegedly paint Jay-Z as more than an innocent bystander. He wasn't just in the room, he might have been holding the keys. Word is, 50 Cent even got his hands on surveillance footage from some of those parties, tapes showing familiar faces, private jets, secret entrances, the entire machine at work. Insiders claim he's been quietly piecing this together for months, collecting this evidence for years, just waiting for the perfect moment to detonate it. And with Diddy crumbling, that moment might be right now. Because what's scarier than a crime? A pattern. And what's more terrifying than a pattern? A system, one that Jay-Z allegedly built his empire in the shadows of. And now, someone's about to flip the switch and flood those shadows with light. Light. What really shakes people isn't the idea that celebrities party hard. It's the whispers that some of those parties weren't parties at all. They were setups, controlled arenas where things were recorded, not remembered. Places where silence wasn't just expected, it was enforced. And when you peel that layer back, the picture forming around Jay-Z stops looking like a mogul's legacy and starts resembling something far darker. Looking like something way darker. Insiders say these weren't wild, spur-of-the-moment nights, they were calculated operations. Security firms weren't just there to protect, they were allegedly there to monitor. Guests signed NDAs with actual bite, real legal threats, not the usual PR fluff. Entire teams were trained to scrub everything clean before sunrise. Bones were collected. Cameras pointed inward, not outward. Whispers even mention an internal alert system. Some called it the Red Room Code, triggered when certain VIPs needed shielding or rerouting. That's not a party, that's protocol. And Jay-Z, his name keeps circling back, not as some one-time guest, but as a figure with access, someone who allegedly helped organize, bankroll, and maybe even record it all. There's chatter from a former stylist linked to Rock Nation, claiming she once overheard security talking about a basement-level panic room beneath an estate used for industry events. Another insider swears the smart home systems were wiped remotely before and after each gathering to erase every digital trace. That's not paranoia, that's preparation. And then there's the lawsuit tied to that infamous 2000 MTV after-party. The one where a young woman claimed she was drugged, forced to sign an NDA under pressure, and left the event shaken and silenced. Jay-Z and Diddy were both there, and the complaint doesn't read like someone chasing a quick payout. It lays out chilling details, including a female celebrity allegedly watching in silence as it all unfolded. Jay-Z's lawyers dismissed it as ridiculous, but victims rarely step into this kind of fire unless there's real heat burning behind them. Still, what's maybe most unsettling isn't what's in court, it's what's not. The silence. The way certain journalists suddenly stop digging. The way some media outlets skip Jay-Z's name even when it's printed right there in the filings. That kind of silence doesn't just happen. It's manufactured. It's protected. It's controlled. Which brings us to Beyoncé. Because if Jay-Z's shield has a secret weapon, it's her. She's been the buffer, the distraction, the human firewall. While whispers swirl around her husband, she's out here holding hands with Blue Ivy, lighting up red carpets, performing for sold-out crowds. But behind the scenes, it's far from picture perfect. Multiple sources claim Beyoncé has been quietly working with crisis PR experts, not just to manage the current image, but to plan for the future. Proofing. One insider even hinted she's been quietly shifting assets, transferring business interests, setting up trusts, tightening every loose end. She's smart. She knows what happens when the dam finally bursts. And word is, she's preparing for that exact fallout. A top Hollywood divorce attorney even told reporters, off the record, of course, that a major A-lister is quietly gathering legal files and contingency plans in case of high-level exposure. Exposure. No names were dropped, but everyone can read between the lines, especially when those lines start pointing straight at the Carters. And 50 Cent? He's not easing up. He's posted, deleted, reposted, and hinted, but his next move is already locked in. The Netflix docuseries, Did He Do It? Isn't just chasing headlines. It's loaded with hard files, testimonies, surveillance logs, and footage. And Jay-Z's name, insiders insist, isn't an afterthought, it's a whole chapter. This isn't industry gossip anymore, it's a lit fuse. Depending on what footage surfaces and whose names get confirmed on those tapes, we might not just be watching the fall of an icon, we could be witnessing the unmasking of an entire empire. Federal agents raiding Diddy's properties wasn't just a turning point, it was a warning shot. They weren't chasing headlines, they were hunting evidence. And what they reportedly uncovered sent chills down every marble hallway tied to these underground gatherings. Hidden drives, encrypted folders, safes stuffed with NDAs, unlabeled memory cards, an entire digital archive investigators say looked less like a vault and more like a blackmail library than a celebrity's party stash. Among the items cited in internal reports, thousands of bottles of lubricant, crimson lighting rigs, and footage allegedly time-stamped, labeled by room, and cross-checked with private jet logs. This wasn't some chaotic pile of junk, it was organized, cataloged, deliberate. And buried in that trove, multiple insiders claim Jay-Z's name surfaced, not just as a guest, but as a key figure. Maybe the financier, maybe the gatekeeper, maybe the one making sure everything ran without a single hitch. Now federal investigators are moving quietly, no flashy leaks, just a steady pattern. Subpoenas are reportedly landing at logistics companies, catering outfits, private security contractors, all tied to events that were supposedly scrubbed before sunrise. And some of those companies? They're linked to Rock Nation. And some are allegedly shell entities, companies existing only on paper, built to bankroll venues and mask where the money flowed. There's also chatter that encrypted messages pulled from confiscated phones and servers are now being cracked by digital forensics teams. The goal? To map out exactly who was talking to whom and what was said before and after those nights. And that's where the paranoia spikes, because if names start getting tied to footage, real, time-stamped, camera-angled footage, the fallout won't stop with Diddy and Jay-Z. People in the industry are terrified, not of being caught on tape doing drugs or sneaking hookups, but of what those tapes might reveal about how the system actually worked. How fame was bait. How power was traded. How silence was bought. This isn't just a scandal, it's infrastructure. A network of leverage, control, and fear. And Jay-Z, the man who always seemed untouchable, is now being whispered about as the one who held the entire machine together. There's even a rumor, totally unconfirmed but relentlessly persistent, that a tech specialist tied to Rock Nation confessed to being paid to wipe security systems before and after events. Not just delete footage, wipe systems clean, start fresh, leave no trace. That's not something you do if the only thing going down is champagne and karaoke. And still, 50 Cent hasn't blinked. His docuseries is reportedly finished, just waiting for the right moment. Maybe legal clearance, maybe the final puzzle piece to drop. People close to the production insist this isn't petty beef, it's strategic exposure. They say 50 saw something that completely flipped his view of the game, that he went from mocking to mission mode. And when it hits, Jay-Z's empire, music, fashion, sports, politics, could all be yanked into the spotlight he spent decades dodging. Beyoncé, insiders whisper, is watching the storm with gritted teeth. She's shifted money, secured assets. Some say she's even taken steps to shield her kids from what's coming. Not because she knows exactly what Jay-Z did, but because she knows what he's tied to. And she knows this time her brand might not be enough to block the blowback. Because if even a fraction of these whispers are true, if Jay-Z was really part of those rooms, those events, those systems, then this isn't the fall of a rapper. This is the collapse of an illusion, the kind of fall that rattles the ground beneath every red carpet, every boardroom, every velvet-draped charity gala. The kind of fall that doesn't stop at music, but drags down everything connected to it. And the scariest part? We might be staring at just the beginning.